Hello, everybody. It's Rev AOL, the Soul Healing Coach, and today I just wanted to talk to you about my personal story of dealing with anxiety. Sometimes it's hard for people to admit that they have issues around anxiety or depression or any other type of disorder, or sometimes we have symptoms that don't necessarily negate a diagnosis. And so since I was a teenager, one of the things that I struggled with was anxiety, and for a while, it just kept getting misdiagnosed as asthma. So I'll be taking inhalers, and it really wouldn't do anything for me. So one day, I began to do some research and figured out what I thought it was, but it wasn't until later in my young adult years that I really paid attention to it and talked with somebody about what it is I needed to do to make sure that I took care of myself. Anxiety affected my breathing patterns, my sleeping patterns. I wrote some notes, so I'm going to talk from my notes today, make sure I stay on topic. How I ate. It also affected how I behaved or responded to different things and people and places. Anxiety normally comes out of one, worry, two, fear or being afraid, the unknown, the things that we can't control, and then also wants and needs. Sometimes we have wants that we sometimes overcompensate for, or spend the money that we need to use for needs on things that we actually want. And so that can cause anxiety as well. For me, anxiety came up when I was trying to choose which college to go to, or if I was changing jobs, or if I was choosing to respect myself and instead of giving in to what other people needed or wanted from me, making a conscious decision that what was going on in the relationship or the place no longer served me any good. And so it was time for me to leave or to move on, regardless of how it affected other people's needs and wants. And sometimes we have to make those big social adjustments. So another way that we are affected by dreams, by big dreams, we're affected with anxiety when we have big dreams and big wants, and we have big desires for ourselves. And so when we dream big, it causes us sometimes to feel like we're losing footing, because the people that we can associate with, or the people who can help us through the process, become small, minute, and your circle begins to get smaller because everybody can't understand what you're going through, or what you're changing or trying to accomplish at that time. And so things begin to shift, and transitions in life begin to happen. Fear is another reason of why people have an issue with anxiety, or normally that's one of the things that I had. And I'm going to talk to you about a mountain trip that helped me conquer some of that fear and anxiety. Another one that causes us to have anxiety is loss of control. So I identified very early on that a lot of my anxiety came out of 3 different areas. Dreaming big and not having enough people around me to help me navigate, or being afraid to ask the questions of people who I knew had never gone that journey before because they couldn't give me the answers that I needed. Fear of the unknown, and fear of heights is another big one that gives me anxiety. And then the other one is a loss of control, when I feel like others have control over what it is that I need to do, or what it is I'm supposed to be doing. And I've known that that's a whole big issue for a lot of people. So and just talking in general about mine, some ways that anxiety may manifest within me is I feel like I can't breathe. It's some of the same symptoms that mimics or looks like asthma. I feel like I get shortness of breath. It feels like somebody's sitting on my chest. It may seem like I can't get enough air, and I can't even get enough air to tell you what's wrong with me. It may be to the sense of feeling like I'm panting, trying to breathe. And anxiety also sometimes makes me feel like I'm out of focus or out of place. Anxiety can be different things for different people. Anxiety for me in the beginning affected not only my breathing, but my sleeping, how I ate, and how I behaved or responded in different situations. So let's talk about worry. There's this old saying, if you're going to pray, then why worry? If you're going to worry, then why pray? Well, when we worry, we have immediate issues with being in a place where we can't control what's going on, and so we're already worrying about the things that are to come and the things that will come and be generated from all the worries. And what we forget is worrying doesn't produce anything but more worry, more fear, more anxiety, and it gives us a place where we can feel desolate or hopeless or helpless. So that's a little bit about worry. Fear and being afraid. So I want to tell you one of my stories. One of my girlfriends has encouraged me in the past 4 years to start going to the mountains. Something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't think my fear of being in heights would allow me to do it. And so the first time we went to Boone, North Carolina, and we went to the mountains. And then the other time we went a couple months ago was to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and we got in this cabin called Peeking Over Pigeon Forge. And Peeking Over Pigeon Forge is exactly what it says. It's peeking over Pigeon Forge. Our whole balcony and front side of the cabin was literally over the mountain. And we were literally hanging over the mountain. And so at night, though, because I was able to kind of push through, I was able to take in one of the most glorious sights ever, which was what it looks like to peek over Pigeon Forge at night. It was absolutely beautiful. But sometimes in anxiety, we lose our grounding, and that's what was happening to me. We literally parked the car, and I felt like I couldn't breathe because we were so high. And then I had to get out of the car, and my friend is going to laugh at me, and get on my hands and knees to feel the ground literally, and kind of crawled, because to my right, maybe about 10 feet, was the drop off from the mountain. And I mean, we were very high. In Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and Pigeon Forge, and what I understood was the more and more I would just take some breaths and just zone out and just put my hoodie on my head. Yes, I wear a hoodie every now and then, and put my shades on. I was able to go inward, able to do my breathing, able to make it through. I have not yet driven to the mountains, but what I have been able to do is enjoy myself and have a great time. So in that deep breathing part, it's very important that you learn how to inhale, hold for 4, and then exhale and hold that out as long as you can while you're exhaling. And later on this week, we'll be giving more tips on how to actually do that process. Meditation is another great way to overcome your fear, to overcome your anxiety. So one of the greatest things that I've been able to use, and I can kind of tell when my anxiety is about to flare because I'll get this funny feeling in my chest and in my belly. And what I'm able to do is get settled. Ask myself one thing: what am I fearful of, or what am I worried about? 2, what is it that I'm unsure of, or I feel like I need to control? 3, what is it or who is it that I feel like has control over me? And then once I understand that, I can do what I call fact finding. Deciding what the facts in the situation really is, and then everything else that's not true or has no grounding, I just simply let it fall to the ground and deal with the things that are factual that I can actually change, the things I can't change. Have to learn how to pray through those things I can't change and ask God for the ability to just be in a place of gratitude, because there's a reason for everything, which is be grateful for the fact that I'm in that place at that time, in that moment, and then tell my body I'm in control, take over that part, and then breathe through it and believe what I'm saying, and then I can conquer anxiety. Some of the other things to do, prayers of gratitude are amazing. It gives us the moment to be intentionally mindful about where we are, what we have, and who we're with, and what we're grateful about with them, and the things that we have, and the places that we've been able to go in our lives, and just simply grateful for the ability to just breathe and walk and talk and see. Prayers of surrender is very important in conquering anxiety. Praying to surrender those things that you have no control over. The greatest gift is the gift of surrenderance. Surrendering your will, your want, your need to the will of God. Surrendering that thing through simply praying, God, I cannot control this. I can't do anything with this. I don't even know where to begin. But what I do know is that you're an awesome God, and I'm going to surrender and lay these 3 things at your feet. I can't control things that I have no control over. I can't worry about things that's not going to change once I worry about them. And I can't move and make decisions on things when other people are involved until I have the pieces. So I lay it at your feet and I surrender it. It's a very simple, short prayer. Another thing you can do to conquer anxiety is small doses of the things you are afraid of or fearful of. Some of us in counseling, it's called a flooding technique. I was afraid of heights. and still am somewhat. And the way that I was able to achieve and to be able to finally surrender to Pigeon Forge was knowing that I had already conquered Boom, in the sense of being able to travel up the mountain and be in the mountains and be out on the grounds, walking around. Try skiing. It's just not for me. I can tell you a funny story about that, and we'll continue to try it later. But just know that you have to try something. You got to try something. Get out there, try the things that make you anxious, the things that you worry about. Get some valid reasons of why you are afraid or worried or anxious, and then you can begin to move forward in conquering those things. So I'll continue sharing part of my journey with you, and hopefully give you some more tips to help you. And we will see you again on tomorrow here with the Soul Healing Coach, Rev ARL, as we talk about interrupting anxiety, because you deserve to take your life back from anxiety. Have a great day. God bless.